Hello?
Good evening. I'm calling to order the Fountain City Council meeting for October 20th, 2025. Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, can you all hear tonight? Yes. Oh, okay. What? I could. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Thompson? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Rick?
It's not working, but here.
Councilmember Hinton?
Here.
Councilmember Geek? Here. Councilmember Estes?
Here.
And Councilmember Hertzberg is joining us online. Councilmember Hertzberg, can you hear us?
I can.
And how do you, are you here? You're here, obviously. I have 6 members present. Thank you.
I'm here.
All right, thank you very much. I cannot hear Councilmember Hertzberg very much, so if we can work on that sound, we're not hearing it up here at all, at least I'm not. Okay, all righty. Okay, I have 2 cards tonight for public to be heard. Citizens may address the council on items that are not on the agenda. Council may not be able to provide an immediate answer, but will direct staff to follow up. Out of respect for the council and others in attendance, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. So the 2 cards I have, the first one is from John Langley, letting us know what's going to be going on at the Legion.
Madam Mayor and Council, John Langley, Commander of American Legion Post 38, Fountain, Colorado. Just going to let you know about what we've been doing in the past couple of weeks, and then also what we got going on in the near future. We just got done with our trunk or treat. We had 250 kids sign up there, and I could swear it felt like 5,000 showed up. Because I had $500 worth of candy and it all went. So that was a good deal. We had a lot of kids come there and they enjoyed themselves, but we're still waiting on the final numbers for that. This week I've donated $1,000 to WSD3 robotics teams at the schools. We also are donating $1,000 to Coronado High School robotics team. About 3 weeks ago, we had a fundraiser for the Whitefield High School soccer team in which we raised $1,130 that we gave to them in a check. And then they brought a little basket that they raised $650 in a raffle basket there. So they made about $1,800 for coming out and helping us with a dinner one night. coming time for Veterans Day, we are going to be giving $4,500 to the 3 JROTC programs in the community at Whitefield High School, Mesa Ridge High School, and Fountain Fort Carson. So they'll all be getting $1,500 apiece to do that. We got coming up the 31st, we have our Scouts. It's the 5th Friday, so we let the Scouts have a dinner. They're going to be having a slopper dinner there, but they also have a haunted garage that they have in the back, and they're pretty proud of their haunted garage. So you come out there and you can also go to the haunted garage. On November the 8th, we're going to be having our Veterans Day Parade in Colorado Springs, so we'll be in that. We'll be number 81 in the group, and so once that's done, then we'll just be waiting on Veterans Day, where it's a combined effort with the City of Fountain and VFW 6461 that we have the ceremony over at Post 38. 10:30, we will be having a flag raising. 11 o'clock, the actual ceremony will start, and then we will roll into the festivities. I don't know who our speaker is going to be yet, because with the shutdown, Fountain Fort Carson has not been giving out a bunch of information, but we're supposed to be having a speaker from Fountain Fort Carson. We also have So Time in the Valley that's going to be donating a quilt to one of our founding charter members that's still alive that served in the Korean War. And matter of fact, just about a month ago, he just came back from the honor flight, being able to go up to Washington, D.C. and do that. And then we are also going to be placing our Purple Heart Trail sign out front. So we're going to have a lot of things going. And then Fountain Up was gracious enough to provide the dinner afterwards. I'm not sure on what the sides are, but I've been told that the main meat's going to be pulled pork. And so come on out, that's free to everybody. On November the 27th, we have our Thanksgiving dinner. It will run from about 12 to 3 p.m. And then we usually have people that kind of linger around for a little bit longer because their bellies are full and they're wanting to take a nap. Then our auxiliary is going to be providing coats to Jordahl Elementary. They have raised up enough money between our entities and by raising money themselves that 100 kids are going to get new coats given to them. And then on November the 1st, we have our toy drive that gets started, and along with the Fountain Police Department, we get ready to help kids out in the local community. Barring any questions, and what we use is we use the SROs from the schools to be able to say, hey, these are the families that are needing help, and we can get those toys out to the needy families. Barring any questions, I made my 5 minutes by 24 seconds.
That's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of money that you're donating back to our community and a lot of time, and thank you so much for doing that. Really, really appreciate it. A lot of kids being helped.
That's why we're here.
Yep, thank you. Thank you. All right, the second card I have is from Phyllis, and I'm sorry, Phyllis, I can't quite read your last name. I don't want to mispronounce it, so if you could come down and state your name for the record, thank you. Yeah, middle button, yep. Thank you.
Phyllis Cruikshank. I've been a member of this community for 30 years. I put 3 of my children through Fort Carson High School, Fountain Fort Carson High School, when it was a new building. I'm now raising grandchildren. And about 10 or 15 years ago, our first solar farm went in behind Venatucci Ranch. I live at the top of Duckwood, which didn't used to be there when I moved in. Nothing was up there when I moved in. It was great. But now we have a solar farm, which is fantastic. I would like to know when the citizens are going to reap the rewards of these solar farms instead of just the utility company. I have talked to David, the manager at the utility company, and he actually doesn't have a clue. He is in the dark. He actually tried making some phone calls and got nowhere. So I would like to pose it to the council, well, what's going on? We've got 2 solar farms, which is great. who's reaping the rewards if our utility money paid for those farms? I
Yeah.
think the citizens
So-
need to know where the money is going.
The first solar farm, Dan, the one she mentioned down by Vinatucci, are you talking about the one you can see from the freeway? I don't believe that's not ours.
That's not Fountains?
Nope.
No.
It was
It is not.
slated to be part of
By
Fountain.
where about by Vinatucci are you? You're talking by the Vinatucci Farms?
Yeah, I think it's behind Pinello.
It's the one you can see as you drive up and
Yeah.
down
Yeah,
the
you can see
freeway.
it. You can see it.
That substation is actually a Carl Springs Utility Substation, and that's, I don't know who owns that, but it's not the city. The only solar array that the city of Fountain owns is the one that's off of Duckwood. It's about a
Okay.
1.67 megawatt generation capacity, and we actually built that with a performance contract, and it offsets all of the municipal government's use of electricity.
So only the municipal use gets,
No, anything that benefits any part of our system, because we are a not-for-profit utility, we're a cost of service. So anything that reduces our cost is spread to all customers.
okay, so where do we find the information on that? And
What kind of information would you like?
I would like to see what it's saving the city, what the benefits are to the citizens of Fountain, because this is, you know, like I said, when I first moved here 30 years ago, my utility bill was on a postcard. I paid for just my service, and now I'm paying for, to have service, I'm paying 4 additional taxes or service fees, whatever they're called, to get it to me, a percentage of what I use, the usage. You know, these things.
Yeah, there should be 4 line items on your
Yeah,
residential
they-
bill
they-
for
they
your
add up.
electric.
They add up.
Yep. If you would like to, either someone in our customer service, or you could actually come and see me. I'm Dan Blankenship, I'm the Utilities Director. I'd be happy to meet with you and walk through your bill and explain exactly how that is put together. And I can also share with you our revenues and expenditures and how we handle the finances of the utility.
I
Be
would
happy to do that.
Actually love to see that, and I would look forward to picking up a card from you.
Yeah,
if you have one.
I don't have one with me right now, but I'll get your information, or if
Great.
you can get me your information, I can get in touch with you and set up a meeting.
That'll work. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, my mic wasn't on, okay. We have your phone number for the recording part. We have your phone number, we'll make sure Dan gets it and he can get a hold of you, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, those are all the cards that we have tonight. So that takes us to a presentation from VFW Post 6461, Travis Baker. And have a lot of activities going on, just like Legion. And so I told him it sounds like he needed more than 5 minutes, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, my slides did not get sent because I lost the power cord from my computer. So I'm going to muster through this. So the first and foremost, I would like to let everybody know, veterans or anybody that would like to attend this Saturday at 2 p.m., Senator Mark Snyder and House Rep Mary Bradfield will be at our post doing a town hall discussing veteran legislative priorities that will be presented to Senate in the November session. So if anybody has anything or wants to attend to see what the senator has to say and wants to give their feedback to them before they go to that January session, please come on, please come.
Travis, let me just clarify, that is state, Senate, and not federal. So they're doing state town hall.
No, this is going to
Right, but it's
DC.
coming from the state.
Correct.
To the federal, yeah.
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the most current thing that's going on at our post. The next thing that I wanted to discuss is the whole Wreaths Across America campaign. For those that don't know, we solicited Wreaths Across America to make Fountain Fairview Cemetery a Wreaths Across America donation location, and we got accepted. There are 331 veterans laid to rest there. 21 of which are from the Civil War, and 35 of which are identified as Purple Heart Award recipients. So as of tonight, right before the meeting, 151 wreaths have been purchased. 180 wreaths are needed to meet our 100% goal. So we're just above or just below 50%. I will get that the flyer with the QR code out to everybody present in order to get more support for Fountain Fairview. Also with that, the Purple Heart Foundation. So some of y'all were at the Purple Heart Trail dedication at our post. Of course, you overheard John state the Purple Heart dedication begun at their post on the 11th. We just received the donated Purple Heart sign for Fountain Fort Carson High School. I need to get in contact with Fountain Fort Carson High School to figure out when we can present that to them and get on the schedule for them to do the dedication. The proclamations are done. Has to be signed by somebody of a member of the school and the military or the Purple Heart representative that is at the dedication. What that does is if you don't have a proclamation and if you don't get it signed and send it to the National Military or the Purple Heart, you don't get put on the trail. What the trail is it's a place to go and see, I'm traveling to Kansas City, Missouri. What in Kansas City is on the Purple Heart Trail because you might want to visit there. That's all it is. And it helps bring more awareness to our local public of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. Military Order of the Purple Heart is the oldest award given to military. It was originally the Military Order of the Purple Heart. It wasn't called that, but that's basically what it was. And then throughout time, it got renamed, and then it became the Military Order of the Purple Heart, and the Congressional Medal of Honor was also brought into one of the awards. So if anybody would like any information on anything that I have, please reach out to us, reach out to me, because we want to get this as widespread as possible. The Purple Heart Foundation, everything. Reach Across America is big, most of these small town cemeteries get overlooked, especially when you think of how many people are laid to rest at Fountain Fairview, and almost half of those are veterans. I think it's a very good thing that we've got that one included to this year's donations. And 6461 is taking care of everything. We are looking for volunteers for the presentation of the ceremonial wreaths at the beginning of the ceremony, which will be on December 13th at 10 o'clock in the morning. Event has not been created because I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff put together for that. And when I say the ceremonial placement of the wreaths, it's a member either currently serving or a veteran of all 6 service organizations, Merchant Marines, and all VSOs, all veteran service organizations, somebody to place the wreath for all those. The reason why we're including the Merchant Marines is there is a Merchant Marine laid to rest in Fountain Fairview ceremony, for those of you who did not know that. Subject to your questions, I think I'm done.
Any questions from anyone up here? Okay, thank you very much. All righty, and that takes us on to board, commission, and committee appointments tonight. Item 5.2, there are none. Correspondence, comments, and ex officio reports. And Mr. Strider.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. The only report from the City Attorney's Office and the courts is that we are now fully staffed in the courts, starting with our last hire to start on November 3rd. So happy to report that. And things seem to be running very smoothly particularly with the addition of our court administrator. As always, the court is there to serve the public, to help you manage any kind of interactions with the court that you might have. So please come down and give us a visit if you need to, and we look forward to helping you.
Thank you. Mr. Blankenship?
Nothing right now, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Blankenship, I think there have been some questions from people regarding difficulties paying the utility bills, and can you kind of just go over how it happens for anybody in the city?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a pretty robust utility bill assistance program. We work with primarily the Salvation Army, but you can also get assistance through Goodwill. We have access to what we call Energy Outreach Colorado funds that are available. The city also has a program called Lighten the Load, in which we contribute to. If anyone, and it has become, I think more apparent now with the government, the federal government shutdown, and a lot of the fallout issues from that. And unfortunately, it's not just the individuals who work for the federal government. There's other businesses that serve those individuals that may be having difficulties too. So our approach and our plan and it applies to all of our customers. Any customer who is having a problem, or it looks like that they're going to be having a problem, if they will contact us, we will help them, guide them through the assistance programs that are available. And if for whatever reason they don't qualify for one of the assistance programs, we do offer payment plans so that we can put them on a plan that meets their situation at the time. The real key thing is to not wait until you are behind and you get a disconnect notice. The important thing is to reach out to us, and that's our customer service billing and collections group. Reach out to them, and they will help you and get you set up before you get a disconnect notice, or before you actually get disconnected. Unfortunately, we see that some customers wait until they get disconnected before they try to do something about that. But it puts us in a better position. It puts us to help our customers if they can just reach out to us as soon as they realize that they're in a situation where they either need some help or they really anticipate that they are. But like I said, not only does it apply for those individuals who might be not getting their paychecks because of the government shutdown, but it applies to any customer. Any and all customers can receive that assistance, because there's a broad variety of reasons why we all find ourselves in situations where things get tight.
All right, thank you. Shauna?
Nothing tonight for me, Madam Mayor.
Okay, planning?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Chief Graham? Chief Christiani?
Good morning. Good morning. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a quick reminder, obviously Halloween's on Friday. Quick reminder for drivers in neighborhoods to be extra cautious with all the littles running around getting their candy. So police will be out there driving the neighborhoods, passing out candy, but just be mindful of the safety. Thank you.
I have a question for you. Two questions on, I'm going to put you on the hot seat, right?
I'm ready.
Is this legal? All right, is it legal for someone to be riding a mini motorcycle thingamajigger around the streets of the city of Fountain?
No. You're talking a motorized mini motorcycle?
Yeah.
Not legal unless it has a license plate and is legally registered with the state.
Okay. And children riding them? Because I literally almost took out a kid this weekend. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, not legal.
Thank heavens I paused when I pull away from the curb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a concern, obviously. The mini motorcycles are not legal.
Okay.
No motorized vehicle on the roadway is legal unless it's legally registered and licensed. And to the best of my knowledge, you can't get a license plate for those things. Either way, if it's not licensed, then it's not legal.
And if you're under 16, you still can't
You
ride
you
it?
cannot, because you cannot possess a driver's license, therefore you cannot drive on the city roadway.
Okay, second question.
Darn,
If
I thought it
you-
was done.
No, this one. Children are required to be in car seats until what age?
It's not necessarily an age, it's a size and weight.
Okay.
So you could have, and this is one for the fire department, so hopefully I'm passing the quiz. It's based on the size and weight of the child. So you could have a very small 5-year-old who would still need to be in a car seat, or you could have a very large 3-year-old that doesn't need to be in a specific size car seat, just restrained.
Okay, because I know years and years ago with my kids, it was like 4 years and 40 pounds, and then it went to 6 years and 60 pounds, and
Yeah.
anybody, I don't know where it's at nowadays.
Yeah,
so-
there's no age or
Okay,
weight.
how
It's-
about
it's-
riding, I've seen this 3 times this week.
Okay, this is
Riding
question
a
3,
s-
Mayor, I'm ready.
This is the same one.
Okay.
Riding a scooter with your very small child in your lap like this and your arm is the seatbelt. Is that legal?
You say a scooter,
Like
a
a-
motorized scooter or an electric scooter?
Yeah, they're driving down the road, you know. Licensed scooter. Not like a stand-up, but like they're sitting on it,
Oh, yeah, a motorized vehicle.
yeah.
Yes.
Like a
Not-
moped thing.
That
There
is
you go.
not legal.
With the kid on the front.
That is not legal.
All right, just wanted to get it out there. These are things I've seen this past couple weeks, folks, so, not legal. Okay,
Correct.
all right. I'll get some more questions for
Did
you
I
next
pass?
time. You, as far as I'm concerned, you
Thank you.
passed. but-
I'll hear from my staff if I didn't.
All right, Matt, did he pass? Matt's laughing. Okay, all right, okay, all right. Thank you. All right, let's see. Joni, anything from your department tonight?
I have nothing, thank you.
IT? Everybody can still hear, right? I'm not being sarcastic, because last week nobody told me you couldn't hear. And so I want to make sure we get there before the end of the meeting. Okay, I'm going to bring it back up here, and I'm going to go first tonight. And so, let's see, things I've done in the last couple of weeks. Okay, the big thing that I did in the last couple of weeks that I want to make sure everybody is aware of, I am the alternate on the CML Policy Committee Board, and we had our meeting on the 17th. And this Policy Committee Board is where we make recommendations to the Executive Board on positions. And so people were introducing, different cities were introducing bills that they would like CML to sponsor, or Colorado Municipal League, thank you, which is kind of like the lobbying group for all the municipalities. And we have an interesting mix of people on there in terms of there's home rule cities like we are, and then there are statutory cities which fall under, they have to report to the state. So you have to kind of always be aware of who's promoting what and how it could affect you. So I wanted to make sure everybody aware of some of the things that came through. There was a land use bill that was introduced from the city of North Glen, the placement of sex offenders in mental health facilities that are in a residential area. And so apparently there is no guidance from them on how they how far they can be from schools. So they want to amend that bill that was passed by the state to make it 1,000 feet from schools. And they want to amend House Bill 22-1303. I suggested that we also include childcare facilities within that 1,000-foot, and that amendment was not accepted by the group. It was turned down. So I did go ahead and vote yes on that proposal for a possible bill, and that passed 50-5. Salida introduced a bill for taxing on lodging and vacancy taxes because apparently if you are a statutory city, you cannot take a taxing bill to your citizens. So they want to be able to be like the home rule cities and take a taxing bill to their people, and that was fine. But they wanted to do their lodging and taxing for their lodging vacancy taxes. And I offered an amendment to expand that we could include public safety and infrastructure in lodging and taxing bills, and that amendment did not pass, so that failed. And and then there was 3 propositions brought forward by the city of Salida. One was for them, to be able to tax their short-term rentals and take that to the voters. I voted yes on that, that a statutory city should be able to take anything taxing to their voters. The second proposal was, and I voted no on this one, that a residential vacancy tax. They want to be able to, if you have a second home and you don't rent it out the rest of the year, you leave it empty, they want the right to be able to come in and estimate the amount of sales tax that would be collected if that home was occupied and they were spending money in your community. And so if you choose not to rent your home out, they want to be able to charge that sales tax back to you because it's missing in the community. Shauna's like looking at me really strange over there. I voted no, Shauna, okay? But that one passed 54-5. A lot of these cities that were there and pretty much voting together were ski cities and looking for ways to promote themselves. They also introduced a third thing for a real estate transfer fee. I voted no on that one also. They want the fee to go towards affordable housing or workforce housing. So if you sell your home, that you would, as the seller, would have to pay a fee for selling your home, and it would go towards affordable housing. They offered an exemption to try to make it more palatable that houses below a certain price fee would be excluded for it. And they very graciously offered to bring that up to $500,000 would be excluded from it. I voted no because I don't think that's a good thing. And they want to expand the use of AVI. It's a police thing, automated vehicle speed enforcement that, I don't know, that buy more trailers. And then they want to, then they also said, be prepared that these two bills might come back that failed last year. One of them was called the Yigbee bill, Yes in God's Backyard. They want to completely bypass, for nonprofits in school, they want to completely bypass local zoning codes or anything else that, so they can fast track their housing bills. And then they also want to bring something for renewable energy, and they did not include any municipalities in the study, and so it is not another good bill. And they also want to set the timeline to pre-exempt any permitting timeline and setbacks for renewable energy projects. So those are just some of the fun things we can look forward to coming in January that they're already beginning to see. Already beginning to see what they want to get some more money out of you for. So that's why we have a legislative policy group for the city of Fountain, and we need to get some more people on there who want you to keep your money in your pockets, and I need to stop asking what will they come up with next, because they keep fulfilling my question. So that's probably about at least a 3-hour meeting with a couple hours of preparation time for that. So that was the main thing that I was involved in since the last council meeting. So Councilmember Hinton.
Nothing for tonight for the group, Madam Mayor.
I have nothing this evening.
Councilmember Geek.
I have nothing this evening.
To Fountain, I want to say thank you to Fountain Up and the city staff for putting on Trunk or Treat last week. We had 1,232 kids and 1,105 adults go through Trunk or Treat last Friday, which is huge. I mean, typically, staff plans on like 600, and we easily doubled that. So thank you to the staff. Thank you to Fountain Up for putting that on. Let's see. I got one other thing here. Oh, yes. Today is National First Responder Day. So thank you to all of our first responders, both the chiefs and all of your people. Thank you for all you do to keep us safe and save lives here in our community. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. All righty, that takes us on.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. I told you to mention. Councilmember Hersberg, do you have anything to share tonight?
Nothing for me tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we still cannot hear her up here. It's only going through the speakers in like the back of the room. Okay, alrighty, consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which case the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately at the discretion of council. We have items A, B, C, D, E, F, and G tonight on the consent agenda. What would council like to do with that? Councilmember Geek.
I would like to make a motion to,
Can I get you to move up closer to your microphone? There you go.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Councilmember Hinton?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on approval of the consent agenda. Is there any further deliberation up here? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Hertzberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
Okay, give me just a second to get to the next item. It takes us on to item 8A, Resolution 25-049, a resolution declaring a council vacancy for at-large. I'm assuming that's the clerk?
I will take that. As discussed in the 2 previous meetings, it was decided that this evening would be brought forward the resolution to declare the vacancy for the empty seat for former Councilmember Duncan. So before you is the resolution with that, if the council approves the resolution this evening, packets would be available to be picked up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Okay, so just to review what we did the last time, if we declare a vacancy tonight, packets for picking up for that seat can be picked up tomorrow. They have to get the minimum 25 signatures, just like anything that, anytime you're applying, right? And then the packets would be due back by November 12th, realizing there's a holiday on November 11th, so.
Correct,
Okay.
by 5 p.m.
By 5 p.m. Okay, because I'm having, for some reason, I'm not seeing it in my packet here, so I'm only seeing the resolution. I'm not seeing the rest of it. So,
Chris, could you pull that item up in the presentation, please?
thank you. Okay, perfect. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so packets available October 29th. Elections just kind of thrown in there, doesn't have anything to do with this process, except people might want to see how the results come. Return November 12th, clerk verifies the signatures, and curing a petition means that you have a chance to correct any errors on it, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then she would, on November 24th, bring the packets to council. The election is certified, and they would be appointed at the swearing in. So that means the new council would seat 6 people, and one of their immediately first things they would do would choose the 7th member of the council, whoever's sitting up here on that council meeting on December 9th.
Correct.
Okay, all righty. Any questions from anybody up here? Okay, any questions from anyone in the audience? Okay, seeing none, what would council like to do with Resolution 25-049? Councilmember Hinton.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 25-049.
Okay, Councilmember Rick.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Councilmember Hertzberg, do you have any questions?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, all righty, seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Hertzberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
Okay, item 9A, considerations of item removed from the consent agenda. There were none. Item 9B, first reading of ordinance 1814, an ordinance amending Title 17 zoning, Chapter 17.11 landscaping, fencing, and screening, Section 17.11.010 landscaping requirements. Am I yelling now? Because my mic is going in and out. Oh, goodness. Adding regulations for non-functional turf and amending Chapter 17.31 definitions of the Fountain Municipal Code. Ms. Martinez, I hope your mic works better.
I hope so as well. I don't know if I can project my voice quite as much. Thank you. Good evening. Christy Martinez with the City of Fountain Planning Department. The item before you is an amendment to Title 17 of the Fountain Municipal Code to address compliance with the state legislation changes that occurred through the 2024 and 2025 legislative sessions. And we've lost the presentation, so I'm going to ad-lib this one. So in those two legislative sessions, they were very heavy on a lot of the land use and municipal code requirements for zoning, one of which was House Bill 24005, which was titled The Prohibition of Non-Functional Turf, Artificial Turf, and Invasive Species, which had a compliance date for all municipalities within the state of January 1, which would require all municipalities to amend their codes to enact the prohibition on non-functional turf. See if I can get the presentation to work. Well, my mic worked. So the prohibition intention behind the House bill was to reduce water waste and was really marketed as a water conservation bill through the prohibition of turf that was deemed quote-unquote non-functional. And I will explain the difference between non-functional turf and functional turf. I did not come up with those definitions. The House bill was specifically geared towards the commercial, industrial, institutional, and common interest properties, so essentially any properties that are owned by a homeowners association, as well as transportation corridors, so to eliminate turf in those areas that were deemed as non-functional. It would apply to any new development or redevelopment that would occur after the January 1 enaction date. And then in the 25 session, legislative session, it took another step forward with Senate Bill 251113, which then included the prohibition of non-functional turf to multifamily developments. Within that code, statutory code language, there is requirements for municipalities to implement regulations on any new residential properties, but that has a compliance date of January of 2028. So there will be future amendments coming forth when there's a little bit more guidance and direction, not quite so open-ended. But we did include the multifamily portion in the ordinance being considered tonight, as it would apply to the same types of properties as the commercial, industrial, and institutional. Can you hit the next slide? Thank you. So the ordinance being considered tonight would include all of the code language through the statute on the prohibition of the turf that would go right in from the bills directly into our code. So that would create definitions on what the state has defined quote-unquote functional turf and non-functional turf, as well as other definitions that applied to that, such as the invasive species, artificial turf, things like that. So the state defined turf as non-native grasses, which are not suited for arid climates. So essentially it prohibits any type of installation of Kentucky bluegrass or fescues, and is really putting an emphasis on turf that is hybridized for the arid climate of which Colorado has, doesn't have a lot of the blade growth, and is really emphasizing other plant materials in those corridors. Functional turf, as defined by the state, is turf in recreational or civic areas, which include playgrounds, sports fields, picnic grounds, parks, and golf courses. And then the big topic of tonight is, how is non-functional turf defined? Turf that's not functional. And then it goes into, it's located along street right-of-ways, parking lots, medians, or anything else in which it is not deemed as quote-unquote functional turf. So if it doesn't fall in the category of the definition of functional turf, it is automatically deemed as non-functional under the state statutes. Within the proposed amendment tonight, we also expanded the list of noxious weed species because there were a few missing from when we updated the code previously, so it included some Chinese elms, some other noxious weeds that we see in this area, but just weren't highlighted specifically in our code. Next slide. Oh, now I got rid of the whole presentation.
You know
All
that
right.
new
Well,
thing,
we'll
can we
keep
order it
ad-libbing
sooner
it.
rather than
What the
later?
legislative changes did not restrict is maintaining any existing non-functional turf or artificial turf in those commercial, industrial, and institutional areas. That did not restrict at this time the residential properties aside from the HOA common areas. It is emphasizing a lot of usage of native grasses. And it does expand in the 25 bill the use of artificial turf on athletic fields. So they have also coined the new term functional artificial turf, which that definition was also straight from the House bill. So that does allow, as I mentioned, the artificial turf in the areas that they've deemed as functional artificial turf. Again, it's a real messy, and I think they could have come up with some different terms, but that's where we're at. The House bill in 25 also regulated the non-functional turf on the multifamily. So as I mentioned previously, we went ahead and included the multifamily in the proposed code amendment tonight with the future amendments coming forth at a later date. I really wish I had the presentation because I have some really cool photos to kind of explain what functional turf and non-functional turf are. Maybe we'll give it a minute.
Since we've got a minute, Madam Mayor, may I ask a question?
At least your mic's working, right?
At least it's working. Okay, so you said functional turf was native grasses, and you said bluegrass and fescue were not considered functional turf. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then we talked about parks and recreational areas. My question is bluegrass and fescue allowed in parks and recreation even though it's not native to the area? Well, my concern is this bill going to force us to tear up and replant all the grass that we already have in like Metcalf and Aga and all that stuff?
No. So it does not regulate any existing non-functional turf. So in that instance, in parks or other areas where there is bluegrass or fescue, it doesn't require municipalities or commercial or industrial institutional properties to remove it to come into compliance. There is some triggers within that bill of redevelopment where that is triggered, where there are permits or a disturbance of greater than 50% of the landscaped area. So if in the future we decide as a municipality to redo Metcalf Park and a lot of those turf areas, then it may be triggered at that time. But today, it doesn't require any type of removal or upgrade to anything that's existing that is deemed non-functional turf.
Thank you. That's all I had, Madam Mayor.
Don't give the legislature any more ideas, okay?
I'm not giving them ideas. I want to know if we've got to replant like Metcalf and Aga.
You're giving them an idea.
That's a lot of money, and we need to consider that.
No, I know. This is another example of the state thinking they know better than every single person and every single municipality in the state, and forcing the will of the state down into home rule stuff. And this is just another example that we have of it. I'll leave it at that. Okay, are we not getting anywhere moving along? Christy, where are you in your presentation? You
Well,
might got a
without
really
the
cool
photos,
slide.
it would be the next slide of recommendation. So it would be staff's recommendation tonight to recommend approval of ordinance 1814 on first reading to comply with the statutory requirement.
Okay.
And if anybody's interested in seeing a handout after the meeting, I have a few.
Right, okay. Any questions from anybody up here tonight regarding this? Councilmember Hinton, were you gonna? Nope. Okay. All right, any questions from anyone in the audience? Please come down and state your name for the record, and hopefully your mic works. Push the middle button, and we'll give it a shot.
Good evening, Connie Weisenhunt. Christy, could you, I guess I'm confused, so I'm looking for clarification. If I'm a new business and I come and I move in, my knowledge is that there are certain trees, landscaping, like different things that the city requires that business to provide for landscaping. So does this fall into that? And at what point, like, does this kind of stop? Because we are not made of money, so that's, you know, I mean, deters people from coming in and building from scratch and trying to follow, you know, the garbage has to be so many feet behind, and it has to have, you know, a traffic study, and then it has to have, I mean, it just goes on and on. So does that fall into that for small businesses coming in? And can we, like, say we're not interested in this right now?
Nope. They probably declared it to be a state emergency, and then everybody has to follow it. And the governor has already threatened last year that if we didn't follow a lot of these new ordinances coming down, he would try to withhold funding from us that we have from our transportation funding in other areas. So we have been threatened by the state, if we don't fall in line, that they will withhold funding in other areas. So this is not a choice. This is what our elected officials up at the state are doing to the small municipalities. And we are fighting as hard as we can against this stuff because we realize the cost it adds on, like that crazy bill I was describing earlier about a fee for selling your home, you know, to the state, not a tax, a fee, so they can get around it. And this is what we're fighting, and we're losing big time. And so, go ahead. These kind of things just get me going, Connie.
Right. Well, I just wonder, like, if Gordy's going to be involved in this, and then maybe if we've thought down the road on some kind of support for small businesses coming in who maybe don't have that in their budget. All this, and I always thought turf was like fake grass. Guess not.
Not according to the state. So as the mayor explained, there were some statutory requirements that came down from the state legislator that really forced all municipalities in the state to come into compliance with that. So in terms of any type of a new development, the first step would be to have a development review team meeting where staff outlines, as one of the items is the landscaping requirements. In the landscaping requirements, it's a certain number of trees and shrubs, so quantities, not necessarily the species type. But the implementation of the statutory requirements for non-functional turf, and artificial turf would then be included in those requirements. And a lot of it is really the water conservation. So if funds are tight, you don't want to spend a lot of money on landscaping that you're going to then spend, for maybe Dan's blessing, a lot of water to keep green, but then you're paying on the back end. So it may be cheaper to install bluegrass because it's very readily available, but you're paying on the back end for the amount of water that is needed to maintain it long term. So it's not necessarily a cost barrier. It's almost more of a water conservation, looking at it forward thinking of you're planting more landscaping materials that are geared towards our arid climate and would be successful for maintenance on a much lower water usage versus those that are of a higher usage for water.
Yeah, and I think to expand on what if I can interpret what you were saying, kind of, I think some of her concerns when new businesses are coming into already existing commercial buildings, they wouldn't be required, as long as the landscaping is there, to yank it out and replace it. But say the tree died, then we would need them to replace it, not necessarily what might be there, something else that is now on the approved list. Does that make sense?
In a nutshell, yes. So if you are occupying an existing building, there are some triggers in the statute for redevelopment, so if building permits are required or there's a disturbance of the landscaped area greater than 50%, then yes, it would need to come into compliance with the statutory requirements. If you move into a building and you make no changes to the exterior area, then that bill wouldn't apply until such time as those triggers under the redevelopment are then triggered, which would require compliance.
That's why we spend so much time asking people before you lease a property, before you buy it, before you start coming up with all your plans, come in and visit with the planning department, and so you can find out what those triggers are. Because if you can do 45% of the landscaping and not have to trigger that 50%, there's sometimes little tricks you can work on to get around some of the triggers. But communication and coming in and finding those out beforehand is, I think, what's key. So, all right, any other questions from anybody in the audience? Or anyone online, or Councilmember Hersberg? I'm not ignoring you on purpose. I'm sitting in your seat, actually. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back up here. And what would council like to do with ordinance 1814? Councilmember Rick?
Move to approve ordinance 1815 on first reading.
And Councilmember Hinton? 1814.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. Move to approve ordinance 1814 on first reading.
Councilmember Hinton?
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Hersberg, how do you vote?
Yes. I vote yes.
Okay, I heard you. 1 second. I'm just waiting for my computer to connect also.
We had it for a second. There it is.
Oh, perfect. Glad that came up because it's not up on my side. I have 5 yes, 1 no. Mayor Thompson voting no. Motion carried.
And Christy, I know we have to do it, but I just, man, the stuff that's getting shoved down our throats, and I think as was stated by a citizen, is going to end up costing our citizens more money in the long run. Somewhere, somehow, somebody's got to start listening. That you cannot balance the budget and your wants and every good idea somebody comes up with up in the legislature on the backs of the citizens of the state of Colorado. So, and we should have been able to handle this in our own municipality, make our own rules. So, all right, that takes us on to item C, first reading, ordinance number 1815, ordinance setting appropriations for the city of Fountain, Colorado for the fiscal year 2026. Ms. Dale.
Good evening, Mayor and council members, and, oh, good, we have it up. So tonight is the first reading of ordinance 1815 to set the appropriations for the city of Fountain for fiscal year 2026, beginning January 1st, 2026. This is also a public hearing, which is also required to adopt the 2026 annual budget, and the notice of public hearing for tonight was published in the October 18th edition of the Colorado Springs Gazette per the city charter. The city actually developed the fiscal year 2026 budget as part of the 2-year biennial budget for 2025-2026, but of course can only adopt a budget 1 year at a time. So after several months of meetings with staff and a work session with City Council on October 7th of this year related to revisions from the original proposed 2026 budget, the following proposed budget is presented to council tonight for first reading. Should council decide to make any additional changes or recommendations during this first reading and public hearing, then the following exhibit, which is included in your packets, will be revised for the final reading of the budget ordinance, which will be heard on the November 18th City Council meeting. Let's see if I can, oh, yay, okay. So your exhibit in your packet, the first column is revenues and departmental expenditures by fund in total for the 2026 and is labeled the first reading proposed budget for 26. Additional columns for first reading budget adjustments and then the final second reading proposed budget. Those will all be updated based on the outcome of tonight's meeting for second reading. Overall, for the budget and general fund revisions from the initial 2026 proposed budget, the 2026 budget continues in direct alignment with the City of Fountain 2025 to 2027 strategic plan. Sales tax revenue has been reduced from 2% to 1% growth just due to local economy trends from the last few months, but also while still accounting for new business growth. Excuse me. Our intergovernmental revenue increased by more than $9.5 million in 2026. The majority of this is due to the additional expansion of the IGZA, or Intergovernmental Service Agreement program that John Trilch leads, and also due to federal grant awards for specific capital improvement projects. The corresponding expense increases in the general fund for these projects are reflected in the Economic Development, Public Works, and the new Strategic Partnerships departmental budgets that you'll see on the next table. Overall, the proposed general fund revenues less expenditures, including one-time capital, has a decrease in the fund balance of $108,000. However, this decrease will be paid for out of committed fund balances, not the unrestricted fund balance. See if I can get it to work. Chris, can you go to the next slide? Oops, one too many. This chart here on the left-hand side, this is all for the general fund, both sides. The left side is the revenue for the general fund. Right now, we're looking at a proposed budget for 2026 for general fund revenues of $53.3 million. On the right side is the expenditures by department in the general fund, and those total for the 2026 $53.4 million, which at the bottom you'll see that net decrease of $108,000. One of the big things I would like to point out on this slide is, if I can get it here, there we go. This strategic partnerships department here underneath administration, this is actually a new cost center that we developed for 2026 for better tracking for our strategic partnerships, which the brunt of that is the IGZA program. And so you'll see a reduction within the administration cost center because we just transferred all of those expenses into the new strategic partnerships cost center to make it more transparent. Chris, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. On the water and electric side of things, of course, the biggest priority in the water fund is continuing to stabilize the water fund and build the necessary O&M reserves in both as a combined utility fund, but also in the individual utility funds. For 2026, we continued to pause the water fund franchise fee payment to the general fund while we continue to build that O&M reserve in the water fund specifically. For 2026, the water revenues were decreased by about $600,000 just due to lower meter sales and consumptions, and those were all based on a 5-year trend that Mr. Blankenship presented last City Council meeting when he gave the water fund update. The water fund revenues will exceed expenses this year, including one-time capital, by about $2.1 million. However, the debt service principal liability payments for 2026 total $1.99 million. Electric revenue and expenditure revisions were very minimal and include a decrease in the operating expenditures of $141,000, and a significant portion of that is just to a change in how we were budgeting for vacant positions. Overall, the electric revenues will exceed operating revenues, including one-time capital projects, by $2.9 million for 2026. And the budgeted capital of $520,000 is mainly for necessary system repairs and upgrades. Thank you. So the tables here on this slide, on the left-hand side is the water fund, and I apologize that it's kind of dark. About halfway down through that left table, if I can get there. These are the revenues for the water fund, and they come in about $12.5 million. The expenditures, including capital, are down here at the bottom at $10.4 million, with revenues less expenditures of the $2 million here. On the right-hand side for the electric fund is the same idea, with the revenue and other financing sources coming in at $33.6 million, and total expenditures down here near the bottom at $30.7 million, with net excess of revenues over expenditures being $2.86 million. Chris, can you go to the next one, please? This last slide here, this is for the miscellaneous funds that the city also has. And you'll see on this table, each fund has its own line. This first column here is the revenue for each of these miscellaneous funds. The second column is the proposed expenditures for 2026 for all of these miscellaneous funds. And then down here at the very last column, this would be the either excess that would be added to the reserves if you see a positive, or the negatives would be a drawdown on that reserve fund balance for each of these funds over here. Overall, at the very, very bottom here, you'll see a grand total for all funds. And right now we're looking at revenues of $110 million across all of the citywide funds and expenditures of $106 million, with an increase overall to all of the fund balances of about $3.7 million. So with that, I will turn this back over to council for questions, for adjustments, for anything that you would like to change or add to the budget. I know City Manager Scott Traynor sent out a budget memo a couple of weeks ago with some potential recommendations. And so with that, I will turn it back over to council for guidance on any adjustments you'd like to see.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, just on what she presented just this moment, does anybody have any questions or clarifications on what she has presented? No? Okay. All righty. And so this memo is, Scott sent out, was just a follow-up memo on things that were discussed in open session at the budget work session, just to kind of clarify it all for all of us. So we do have some extra things on here that we could look at to spend. And do you want me to go through them just so, because I don't think we have a copy of the memo to put up there, do we? We do not. Okay. Alrighty, so you guys want me to read them out loud? Yeah. Okay, so under unfunded items, the following were brought up during the work session with no resolution on whether to fund. A fleet mobile truck, $172,000. This truck is used to respond on-site to large vehicles and remote work sites for maintenance. Electronic street message board, $11,750. This is for a refurbished electronic message board trailer for streets to use to direct traffic at work sites. Police Department mobile data terminals, $23,400. This is to replace approximately half of the department's mobile computers. The first half is already in the budget, so this represents the portion that was cut from the budget. These are the ones that are in their cars? Okay. Cemetery fence, $40,000. This would be to remove the current split rail fence and replace it with a wrought iron fence that would be more aesthetically pleasing and lower maintenance. Facility contingency, $50,000 as discussed during the 2025 budget. This is to create a contingency for our facilities department to access when unforeseen maintenance issues come up in our various facilities. My Town AI, $18,000. This is an artificial intelligence system that has been developed in Colorado specifically for smaller municipalities. Using city databases, it dramatically simplifies information, access to mapping systems, land use codes, research of minutes or past decisions, access to archived records, etc. While this initial foray into AI would be generally to improve staff effectiveness and efficiency, the longer-term plan would be to provide a tool, provide the same increased access to the general public. Those things right there add up to $315,150. Then the next one would be pay increase for city staff. The current budget does not provide pay increases to city staff as discussed during the work session. Following is the financial impact of a CPI wage adjustment. 2.5% CPI adjustment in general, $225,630. 2.5 CPI adjustment public safety from the 2B ballot measure, $233,069. 2.5 CPI adjusted water department, $31,308. 4.5 market adjustment for electric, $150,341. That's a market adjustment, right, Dan? So that our linemen don't walk across the street and make $5 an hour more.
That is correct. We do an annual salary survey, and that is a market adjustment to keep them in
Right.
accordance with the pay plan that the council approved, I think, in
Right.
2017.
Okay, I just want to point that out. That's why it's a little bit higher. That adds up to $540,000, and I may have rounded some of these in my notes, so Sean, if I missed a penny or two. Okay, and adding, let's see, and then I wrote down 614,000. Why did I write that down?
That was around the discussion around the potential debt payoff.
Okay, all right, then one of the things was potentially using some of the funds that we have. We're in a really good place. I just want to make sure everybody understands this. All the cities around us are doing budget cuts, 6%, 10%, totally flat. We have done a very good job budgeting and saving money, and so there was a thought of potentially reducing some of the debt schedules that we have of things that we have purchased or had to finance over the years, and that would, some of the ideas were Fire Station 1 and the PD remodel, the RV mobile command truck, 2017 fire pumper, Lorraine Center, Siemens energy savings equipment, some trucks, and other vehicles and things. And so those were some of the suggestions that we had. And then there was also one I had thrown out that we do a volunteer appreciation picnic. We have a lot of people that volunteer, do a lot of things for our city that is a tremendous cost savings, including serving on boards and commissions, but helping just do a lot of things. And that would probably cost about $1,000, Scott estimated. And then there was a small cut in the road funding due to the anticipated cut in the sales tax, and that was estimated to be $3,000 to $5,000 cut, and so I would like to not cut anything out of our roads and put that $3,000 to $5,000 back in if possible. And then, so what are, anything that any other council members would like to bring up? And then also, there was the potential that we could maybe consider adding additional funds to Fire Station number 4, but we had no idea, I don't think, where to even start because we didn't have the final cost. Some of these we need prices to come back because we can't really, then we could make those adjustments on the second budget. But I think there was an overall feeling that while reducing debt is not exciting, it's puts us in a better financial place in the long run. So those are some of the ideas. And so what Ishana is asking us for now is if there's any of those you would like her to bring back in the next budget. So anybody? Just, I can't, my screen doesn't work, so just go ahead, Councilmember, raise your hand or something.
I would suggest that we look at the debt schedules and that we apply some of our reserves to paying off some of the debts. And we had talked, there's 3 that I'm interested in doing. It's the, for the RV mobile command truck, the equipment finance on the fire pumper, and the Lorraine Center, which equals to removing about $613,000 from our debt. So we have the reserves that we could handle that. You know, but I'm open for discussion.
Okay, just Councilmember.
Mayor, can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes, Councilmember Hersberg, yes.
Oh, sorry, I had my hand raised, but I would be in favor of a conservative approach, meaning looking at debt reduction and also looking forward at expenses such as the firehouse when we have those numbers, just to be better situated and prepared for our priority projects, especially when it comes to public safety.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Rick?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's, on additional items, I would recommend we defer until we get numbers on these items. The safety improvements for the planning department, the Fire Station 4 savings, the capital planning for equipment upgrades, the volunteer appreciation picnic, the use a portion of the IGS and net revenues for water fund stabilization and road funding. While I think those are all very needed and worthwhile items to put money to, I would recommend we defer that until second reading, until we can get some actual numbers for
Well,
that.
that's the instruction we need to give her, so, yeah, that can be part of the instruction for her, bring those numbers back. So, Councilmember Hinton or Geek, anything?
No, I'm in agreement with everything that's been said. Just, we need some more numbers to make a good estimate as far as moving forward, as far as what we would like to do as far as debt reduction and things of that nature. I am in favor of what Councilmember Estes spoke about. If we were to kind of go in that route, reducing debt. And once again, I want to echo what the mayor said. This is a good problem to have. Not many cities have an opportunity to reduce their debt. Matter of fact, their debt is increasing. We're trying to lower it so that we could be in a good position moving forward in the future. So I'm in agreement with Councilwoman Estes about the two general funds and the Lorraine project moving forward, if we could reduce some of that. And then I talked to Chief Graham earlier, just making sure we get those numbers for the Firehouse Station 4, just kind of what that looks like, so that we as a council can just better assist you and assist the city in like what those numbers look like for that fire station.
Sure. Councilmember Hinton, thank you. Madam Mayor, is this something you want me to address right now and provide some numbers for you, or do you want?
I think we can bring them back at the next meeting,
Okay.
and I'm sure we'll get them before the next meeting. We can look at them.
Perfect.
But if you want to just take like 2 minutes and give me, you have a high and rough
Sure, I
estimate.
can give you a 30,000 foot view, and I'll preface with, we have plans for the November 18th work session to bring to you a presentation of where we're at and get into a little more of the details. But for right now, what I can offer to you is over the last several months, we've went out and received estimates for fire stations that have been built in the region, from City of Pueblo, Pueblo West, all the way north to Station 24 in Colorado Springs. When you average out the per square footage cost of those 5 samples that we received, it comes out to right at $760 a square foot. Over the last 18 months of us working through conceptual designs with the architect, we've worked through designs obviously starting on the high end of about 15,000 square foot. That's when we were including the PD into the floor plan. Those plans have been altered, square footage is reduced. And so I would offer to you that anywhere between $4.5 and $6.5 million, depending on what size floor plan we decide to go with. I will be prepared in November to make a recommendation on the floor plan that I think would work best, having come from 15,000 square foot pie in the sky down to what would be reasonable, but also not going down to something that I think would not be functional for the fire department in the long term. We've even reached out to departments that have done the residential station approach, which I've never been a part of in my career, and we'll be able to provide you information on that. But I think $760 a square foot is the average of fire stations that have been built in the last 24 months in this region. And I would anticipate between 7,500 and 8,000 square foot is what I would be recommending as the size for our next station. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that does. What, when you say $760 a square foot, does that include any equipment or what?
To the best of my knowledge, that includes all soft costs, which include the property, the land, which we already own, insurance, and furnishings. I haven't got a solid clarification because we got some help from one of the architects that we've been working with to help gather this information. One of the stations with the estimates I know for sure included those soft costs and furnishings. The other ones I haven't received back confirmation whether they are. But I feel confident averaging those numbers that we would be in the right ballpark for a fully furnished station, including equipment, at that 760, and ideally, obviously, less than that. We'd want to drive those prices down, but it kind of gives you a ballpark.
So I think what I'm hearing in the memo, the additional items, Shauna, is that we would like you to bring back some firm numbers before we can consider them. If you can kind of bring those back, or we can get those before the next budget reading.
Sure, I can absolutely do that with the additional items. Did council want to provide any direction on any other changes that you would like to see to the budget tonight for the unfunded items in the first section that you
we
read?
through?
Or would you like me to hold off on all of that
No,
until we
I think
have?
Let's make a decision on that tonight, but I wanted to get some citizen input before we got to making a decision up here.
Sure.
So is there any other questions from any other council members? Come on, Councilmember Geek, you haven't said anything.
I agree. I agree with the discussion.
All right, okay. All right, if there are any questions or comments from anybody in the audience, please raise your hand and come down and state your name for the mic, and don't everybody fight Connie for being first. All right, Connie, looks like you won again.
Hello, Connie Weisenhunt. I attended that budget meeting and I was like super impressed after listening to like Manitou Springs and Colorado Springs and everybody else and just the state of where they are. And I had so much appreciation for everybody's hard work. And I was like really proud of like where we're at. The one thing that stood out to me is all of the different departments coming in and saying, you know, we don't need an extra sign. We'll go ahead and use the sign we already have. And so now it sounds like we're making plans for all this extra money and we're going to go ahead and spend it. And so I'm totally for public safety and that kind of thing, but you're not going to get the buy-in of this community unless we get these roads handled and we have something for our kids to do. Our rec center, people are like struggling with daycare. They've got to be at work. They want their kids somewhere safe. So like I would consider like suggesting to you, please consider some funding or some place to put some additional money for some of the things that the community really, really wants. I understand we need another fire department and our vehicles for the police department need fixing and we need to support, you know, our servant folks here, but like don't forget the other part that maybe we don't have everybody here talking about, but I've been out on the street, I'm getting phone calls, and I'm hearing what their concerns are, and those are two top ones, and maybe a little bit of money toward our senior center too. Just a thought, because I really appreciated all the hard work of all the different departments, and they said, oh, we don't need this right now, or we're going to do this instead, and we'll rebuild the engine instead of buying a whole new truck, and everybody had all of these great ideas, and now I feel like they're being like set to the side.
Councilmember Hinton.
Great question, by the way, great input, and we've thought about that. I think just me speaking by us reducing the debt, we're able to do some of those things that you just expressed that we want to do, and so I think we're moving in the right direction. I think what you just beautifully presented, that those are things that we're looking forward as a council, moving in that direction, looking for those possible opportunities. So as we reduce some of the things that we can reduce, I think those opportunities present themselves better. And so I appreciate your feedback.
Any other questions or comments from anybody in the audience? Is there any questions or comments online? Okay, so I'm going to try to summarize. I'm going to bring it back up here and see if I can summarize it really quick. It sounds like everybody pretty much wants to, including the staff raises in the unfunded items column. Is that correct? Okay. Shauna? Okay. And then on the additional items from council members, we're going to have some money brought back. But, and then the suggestion also from, and I think we all agreed on it, and I want to make sure, Tamara, I get these correct. There was 3 funds, and unfortunately, can I borrow yours? Because I actually circled it, and I circled over the numbers. You wanted to reduce from the PNC equipment finance for the RV mobile command truck of $13,741, retire that debt. Is that correct?
Councilmember Estes is correct, Madam Mayor. That last column that you're looking at,
Thank
that's
you.
the projected ending
For
balance of
2026.
26.
Thank
So
you.
we would
Okay.
use 2 columns in.
So 25,187. Okay, thank you. All right, and then the second one was for the PNC equipment 2017 fire pumper, retire that debt of $7,717. Good grief. I'll let you read the next number, okay? All righty, go ahead. And then the third one?
And is the UMB finance on the Lorraine Center, which is $490,000.
Okay, I'm in the right column that time. Here it says
97.
Oh, it's a 90. Can you make the numbers bigger next time, please?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. All right, I couldn't even see it when you pointed it out hardly. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, is that clear? What we all need to bring back and what you need?
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay,
will
but
make
we
those
s-
changes before second reading.
Okay, but we still need to approve what is in front of us now for the first time. Okay, so what would council like to do with first reading of ordinance number 1815? Oh, you have another comment?
No, I was going
Oh,
to
you-
try and read it in.
Okay, thank you, go
I was going
ahead.
to take a stab at it. Okay, so this is going to be complicated. I will give it the best shot I can. So ladies, if I mess something up, please correct me. Move to approve Resolution 1815 with the following changes. Fund the following items: fleet mobile truck for $172,000, electronic street message board for $11,750, police department mobile data terminals for $23,400, cemetery fence for $40,000, facility contingency for $50,000, and MyTown AI for $18,000. In addition, recommend pay increases for city staff for, do I need to read all that in
As listed in the memo.
as listed in the memo?
Does that work, Joni? Okay.
Request that the following debts be paid off. PNC Equipment Finance RV Mobile Command Truck for $25,187. PNC Equipment Finance 2017 Pumper Truck for $97,717. UMB Finance Lorraine Center, $490,000. Request that the following items be brought back at the second reading with numbers. That would be the debt reduction, safety improvements to the planning department, Fire Station 4 savings, capital planning for equipment upgrades, volunteer appreciation picnic, use portion of IGZA net revenues for water fund stabilization, and road funding. Did you need anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion. Very well done. And let me tell you, us ladies will always correct you, Mr. Rick, if you make an error. Okay. All righty. All right, and Councilmember Hinton.
I second all that Councilman Gordon said.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Councilmember Hersberg, do you have any questions?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Hertzberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
Thank you, council.
The reason I have to keep getting up to vote is because it's specific to the thing that is in front of you when you begin the meeting, and so mine was set up over there, but the mic is not working tonight, so it's okay, it's good to get up and stretch once in a while, they say, right? Move around. All righty, first ordinance for resolution 25-050, a resolution adopting.
052, you said 052.
Thank you. Okay. Is this the correct order of the agenda? Okay. All righty. Resolution 25-050.
Two.
Look what mine says right here.
Yeah, but it's two. I think you got the wrong one.
I have the wrong agenda. Thank you. Oh, this one is much better because mine goes all the way to F and this one only goes to D. Okay. That's a way better agenda. All righty. Resolution 25-052, a resolution to amend the Water Fund Stabilization Plan. Mr. Blankenship.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mayor, I thought maybe you were just trying to avoid me there for a second. I don't really have any numbers in my presentation, but I would like to take the opportunity to commend Shauna and her staff. As you all know or have come to realize, outside of the finance department, I'm probably the biggest numbers person in the city. Maybe with the exception of Catherine Pucci, who works for me, and I created that monster. But this has been the best budget process that I've been involved in since the last 5.5 years that I've been here. And so I would just like to commend Shauna and her staff and thank them for all their diligence and everything they've done, especially working with utilities, because we are pretty needy when it comes to the numbers and finances. So good job and thank you. The real reason I'm here speaking is to present a proposed amendment to the Water Fund Stabilization Plan. The Water Fund Stabilization Plan was approved by resolution in March of 2024. I drafted that resolution with the expectation that the interfund payable from the water fund to the electric fund would be reduced and ultimately eliminated. Then once the interfund payment was eliminated, we would build a reserve in the water fund equivalent to 3 months of operating expenditures. Upon completion of the 23 ACFR, I discovered that the intent was not being met. There was money being set aside in the reserve prior to the elimination of the interfund the interfund payable. And so when I saw that, I started to ask questions, and what I came to understand or realize is that I had an understanding based on conversations that I had had with the previous finance director that led me to believe that the interfund payable would automatically be applied with all positive cash. Well, as it turns out, the way the resolution was written by me, that wasn't the case. And so what I'm presenting tonight is basically a real simple amendment that will enable us to eliminate the interfund payable before we start building the savings account. So we're just going to pay off our, and this is not the right word, this isn't the appropriate terminology. We're going to pay off this particular debt before we put money in the savings account. But that's the best way I can describe it, so hopefully you can understand it. We have the interfund payable peaked in 2020 at about $8.6 million. If the Water Fund Stabilization Plan had been written and implemented as intended, at the end of 2024, we would have reduced that down to $1.56 million. So that's about $7 million in 4 years that we've brought that down. So the Water Fund Stabilization Plan is very effective. This is basically just a cleanup thing to make sure that, like I say, we're paying off this one debt before we start putting money in the savings account. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay. So we just, basically, we passed a resolution and it had a little glitch, and we're fixing the glitch, and nothing exciting or new is happening.
No, you're cleaning up after me. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, any questions or comments from anybody up here? Councilmember Rick.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Got no problem with your plan, Dan. Just a question. Have we talked to the state agency that issued the bonds and the bondholders? Are they okay with us paying that off? Because I remember when we originally did this, it was, we promised we're going to make this reserve whole, and now we're kind of changing it. I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure the bondholders are.
Yes, we are in complete compliance. And in fact, from the bondholders' perspective, they look at it as a combined reserve. It's our internal rules, financial policies that drive us towards creating a reserve in the individual funds. But from the bondholders' perspective, they see the city's utilities as a combined, and we are in full compliance with the terms and conditions of those loans and bonds.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Anybody else up here? Okay, anybody in the audience have a question? Anybody online? Okay, see, Councilmember Hertzberg?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to bring it back up here. And what would council like to do with Resolution 25-052? Councilmember Hinton? Doesn't matter. We'll let her go. Okay.
I move to pass Resolution 25-052.
Councilmember Geek?
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Hertzberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
All right. That takes us on to item 10, City Council Agenda Requests. City councils may request an item be placed on an upcoming agenda, subject to consent of the majority of the council members present. Does anyone have an agenda request? Councilmember Rick.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I request that at our next meeting on November 4th, that we read the Veterans Day proclamation into the record. And I would ask that my friend and fellow veteran, Councilmember Hinton, be allowed to read the resolution into the record.
Okay, and update it with this year's dates, please. Okay, all right, council members, is everybody in agreement with that? Councilmember Hertzberg?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, please add that to the agenda for November 4th. Joni? Okay, all right. That's okay. All righty. So, item 11, announcement of an executive session. Do we have an executive session tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so now this is in the, where we have to do something kind of weird. We're going to adjourn the regular meeting. However, you can either leave or go talk somewhere else, because we're going to re-adjourn immediately into what we call a GID, that we, kind of a utility board type thing, but not really a utility board. So, all right. And we're not going to take a break or anything, council. We're just going to work go straight through to it. Okay, so I am going to adjourn the regular meeting for the city council meeting for today.
Mayor, can you give me 2 seconds? I got to do a couple IT swaps on my side. 2 seconds.
I'm on a roll.
I know, I'm sorry.
And my mic is working, and the screen is working. All right. I am going to go ahead and open reconvening the city council as ex officio board of directors for the Fountain General Improvement District Number 1 for action for the following items. A, I am opening a public hearing on Resolution 25-050 GID-1, a resolution adopting a budget for the Fountain General Improvement District Number 1 for fiscal year FY 2026, assessing a levy on taxable property and providing for certifying a levy to the El Paso County. Ms. Dale.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening again, Council. So tonight I bring to you for General Improvement District, otherwise known as GID number 1. This district was created in September of 2007 with land annexed after the district was formed and property already within the city. And This general improvement district was originally formed to provide capital assets necessary for growth in the areas annexed into the city. And the first 1.7 million of this budget, or not budget, but this fund actually must be used for life safety improvements, which generally means fire and police stations and related capital equipment. So up on the screen before you, you have the 2026 proposed budget. Right now, this is the amended budget for 2025. The proposed budget right now, we're looking at bringing in $220,000 in revenue. We do not have any expenditures planned out of GID 1 for 2026, and actually we have not spent anything out of GID 1 since its creation in 2007. So we'll be adding that full $220,000 into the fund balance, which would bring us an ending fund balance of about 1.8 million, almost 1.9 million at the end of 2026. The mill levy for GID 1 still sits at 12 mills. So with that, I will bring it back up to council for any questions.
So everyone within the city is not in GID 1. I want to make sure everybody understands that, correct?
Correct. It's
Yeah.
got very specific boundary lines.
Right, so like South Academy Highlands is in GID 1? Okay.
Yeah, so it would include any newly annexed properties from the inception date of GID 1.
Okay. And the hope was that this would give us a big jump on public safety when we needed it. And it looks like it's going to have good timing. It took a while to get going.
Yep.
But it's going good. Okay. Alrighty, are there any questions from anyone up here on GID number 1? Any questions from anyone in the audience on GID number 1? Okay, because it is a public hearing. We do have a couple three public here. Okay, I'm going to bring it back up to the dais. And what would council like to do with GID number 1? On resolution 25-050? Raise your hand. Councilmember Geek?
I was going to second.
Oh,
Cordy was last first.
Move to approve Resolution 25-050 GID number 1.
I'm closing the public hearing. Go ahead with the second.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Hertzberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, I am opening a public hearing for the City Council to reconvene as the ex officio Board of the Directors of the Fountain General Improvement District Number 2 for action on the following items. Public hearing and Resolution 25-051 GID 2, a resolution adopting a budget for Fountain General Improvement District Number 2 for fiscal year FY 2026, assessing a levy on taxable property, and providing for certifying a levy to the El Paso County. Ms. Dale.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. So the General Improvement District Number 2 was actually established in August of 2012, and that district was established to transfer some of the costs of developing property to the district, and the original ordinance approved exempting property from the city service expansion fee, 20% of the water tap fee, the plot plan review fee, and the residential construction evaluation study surcharge. So with that, this, up on the screen, you'll have the budget for GAD 2 for 2026. Right now, excuse me, we're looking at revenues of $187,000, almost $188,000. The only expenditure we have planned out of GAD 2 is $148,000, which is the transfer to the water fund for those, the deferment of the water revenues that were into GAD 2. We actually started spending money out of GAD 2 for the first time in 2023 with the creation of the water stabilization plan, and that's the only expenditure we've had every year thereafter. So right now, at the end of 2026, we're looking at an ending fund balance of $366,000, and the mill levy for GAD 2 remains at 10 mills. So with that, I will turn it back to council for questions or comment.
Okay, and this is something that was created many councils ago to, when the building within the city of Fountain was low.
Correct.
And so to attract buyers, and that they would pay back over time rather than some of those fees up front. When things started getting so expensive and housing developments started coming back in again, we closed anybody joining this new one, so no one else can join this. Okay, alrighty, any questions from council up here? Okay, any questions from anyone in the audience? Okay, seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, and I'm bringing it back up here to the council. What would council like to do with this? Councilmember Hinton?
I make a motion to approve resolution 25-051 GID 2.
Councilmember Estes?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Hertzberg, how do you vote?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carried. Thank you, council.
Okay, with that, I am adjourning the GID number 2 meeting. I'm adjourning everything. Go home.